All right. Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, and it is July 6th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it is time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. I'm Eric. How's it going, everybody? James.
Hello, how you doing? Hello, everybody. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, indeed. You have a good holiday weekend.
Yeah, I suppose so. Just hung out with family. Helped some family members move, and just hung out and played a little bit of Mario Party actually on the Switch.
It's a good
My
one,
first,
isn't it? I like it.
it's pretty solid. I think it might be the best. It might be the best version of Mario Party I've played in a long time. I'm still kind of biased towards the very first one that came out on the N64,
Mm-hmm.
but the one on the Switch is really good. There's some nice little luxuries to it that are pretty cool. Um, for example, playing the mini games, you can actually access the mini games by themselves and play them. I don't know when they actually started doing that, but for me, it's the first time I've seen that in a long time, where you can actually sit there and just play mini games as you want.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that being accessible in the very first one. And
No, I don't know, but it's an old feature now. That's been in Mario Party games for a while now. Yeah.
yeah, so it
Uh,
shows how far out of the loop I am with Mario Party. Then,
that's all right. That's all right.
yeah,
But yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I had a pretty low key fourth as well. Spent some time with some friends. Nothing major, and
yeah,
there was lots of alcohol consumed.
yes,
Um,
yeah.
but I feel like that's almost an obligation. Maybe someday it won't be for me, but it is.
And that's what Mondays are for, is to help recover from the weekend, I
Yeah,
suppose.
without a
And
doubt, without a doubt. But in any case, we're here now, and we're here to talk about our little cartoon thing that we're doing. Um, let's see. Well, so earlier we were talking about you were doing some background work, um, and this is an extension actually on last week's topic where we were, going into details about the contrast with the desert environment with the nature of the warhogs and color palettes and things of that nature. And you went and did a little bit of experimentation work. You want to go into that a little bit with us?
yeah, so for since our last talk, let me go on to present now and make sure you can see everything. All right, so your face should be there now. All right. Yeah, so I did go into some background experimentation. Can you see my screen, Eric?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, good. Yeah, so yeah, so based on our conversation, even over this weekend, I kind of showed, we already talked about areas I kind of explored, but one of I guess we'll just go over what I thought was working pretty immediately, which was the night version of any background we have in Dry Gulp Gorge. So what I was starting to do was develop the background, but not actually putting the characters and the background together, because that's actually pretty important to do. And I was
Mm-hmm.
sort of kind of getting lost in one world and not the other. So I started kind of actually mirroring both together just to kind of see how they look. And in this case, I think with the night background, which we've had this design pretty much with the night background for since we started doing our run with Leon and everything else. I mean, it's sort of kind of hardwired into our series now at this point. But if you wanted to see just how the background itself is without the characters, we can do that. Um, and I mean, I was kind of pretty much doing this and then forgetting to add these guys in. So then I started
Mm-hmm.
playing it, and everything for this background for me pretty much does everything we needed to do, which is it's an extension of Dry Gulp Gorge, just pretty much helping set up the design for the show. But at the same time, it's not. It's a character by itself, but it's not the main character. And as long as the other characters kind of pop off of it, I'm happy. Um, so for the night background, I was thumbs up about it. Eric, any thoughts on your end?
No, I mean I think it looks great. I think Calamity, she stands out really well despite the fact that there are some blues and purples in it. I think it really really gives you kind of that sense of coldness that you get from the desert at night. Yeah, I think it looks great. Yeah.
And on top of that, even with the warhogs, with them actually kind of being dark, especially in some of the backgrounds we kind of were as we were looking playing with lighting and stuff. They actually kind of pop off this background too,
Mm-hmm.
which is which again does the job. So
Hmm.
we moved on for the night background. I was happy with it. Only did one iteration of that. Then we went to day. Now this is the area where I need to kind of spend some time in, and that's what I've been doing this week. But this one's pretty bright. I'm assuming, especially now on your screen, it's going to look pretty yellow.
Yeah, I mean it's yellow enough that you lose the layers actually. That
Yeah,
it's almost just a just a wash of yellow sand.
and this wash of yellow sand is doing great things for the warhogs. I mean, you can
Oh
clearly see
yeah.
them. But then with the skin tone of Calamity Jane, or she's kind of because she's the same kind of saturation as the background in a sense. She's going to kind of disappear a little bit, and that's not. I wasn't happy with that, but I was kind of looking at this for a while and playing with layers first. Let me zoom in a little bit. My whole idea is I want to play with. I don't even know if you can see that. Can you see these
Yeah,
subtle?
I can see those. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the subtle changes is what I want in the backgrounds, but uh, not so subtle that you can't really tell if you squint. But I like compared to the night background, you can kind of see layering happening here.
Yeah.
I do want that for the day, but this was just an early sketch of an attempt, and I wasn't happy, so I moved on. So let's go to the next frame, and then went to more of an orangish kind of background. This one, I felt like we were kind of getting a little bit. There was a little bit more success with helping. It actually helped get Calamity Jane off the background and not have her disappear like she does in the yellow. The Warhogs themselves, though, kind of blend a little bit more into this type of a background, which was a concern. And Eric, you saw this as well, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Um, so that kind of started. I started going down that rabbit hole anyway. And based on our call this morning, I was talking about it in Vapor, but I started going on the internet a little bit and started looking at the kind of desert I really wanted to start doing was more like southern Utah style kind of desert with reds,
Hmm.
kind of sourcing images from places I used to go as a kid and where I was raised in Utah. There's plenty of deserts that are actually not the traditional yellow and browns that we're used to seeing in, like, I don't know, classic Roadrunner cartoons, etc. But I want to start playing with more of this reds and greens off of each other, mainly the reds. That's what I wanted to source. So with that being said, I ended up actually making one more pass, which was the most recent one today, which is this one.
Oh my God. What a
Isn't it? It's
difference.
crazy, huh?
What a
Yeah,
difference. I swear,
yeah.
everything pops. It looks pretty. I mean, that's just great.
I think we found our Dry Gulp Gorge is
Yeah.
what it sounds like from based on what Eric has just said there, because he hasn't seen this iteration yet. We
No,
kind
this is the first I'm
of
seeing it, but just
yeah,
immediately, like the reds pushing it in that red direction. Everything stands out. Everything comes out of the background of the frame. Nothing is lost, and just the color itself is great.
yeah, and this does another job, which Eric kind of noted before, which was in the night version. We have it's cold, but during day it is going to be warm. And I like this juxtaposition. You
Yeah.
know,
No, absolutely. It feels like a warm environment. Yeah. Yeah, no, it really is fantastic. But I think the real star of the show for me, honestly, is the perfectly formed cumulus cloud in the background.
yeah, yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I want to keep things really simple for some shapes,
Hmm.
but uh, that's one where I thought these are actually just built out of perfect circles. I'm thinking like, I mean, we could definitely play with this more later. This one's actually a flattened image, but yeah, this
It's
cloud
amazing
is
me, like it's even just going from the red to the brown feels cooler than the red.
yeah, it doesn't even function the same anymore.
I mean, look at
This is
that. It's so
yeah.
obviously the right way to go. It's amazing.
Yeah. So, and then and I felt comfortable, and then I started doing texturing on it and stuff like that. I started playing with it. I'm trying not
Oh
to get
yeah.
too caught up in it, but just yet. But I want to do a reveal first and us talk about it. But yeah, there's gonna be. I'll put some texturing on some of this dirt area and stuff on the desert itself, which
Hmm.
I'll do in all. I'm using Adobe Illustrator for a lot of this stuff, and then exporting into Flash as my background plate. But yeah, so I think that's kind of where I've where I've gotten to at this point is we're going to use this as our backdrop for any kind of desert during the day for Calamity, and go from there. Um, yeah, so that's my biggest. That's what I've been working on for the past week and a half, and is where I've arrived to.
I think it looks great. I think you nailed it. I mean, and even like looking at the cactus too, you were talking about the greens. Even the cactuses blend well. I mean, this it feels like such a great color palette where it just works with everything. Like anything that you're going to throw at it, it works. Um, and yeah, no, I really think you nailed it. Yeah. And it's the
So
funny thing is just for context on our call this morning, you showed me the images, and I said the same thing about the night images. Like, yeah, the night images look good, and then I was looking at the browner version and the yellower version, and I like the yellower version, and your response is yeah, okay, but yellow is just such an the generic sand, right? Like that's just kind of what you go to automatically. And then you mentioned you preferred the redder environments of Utah, and I'm like, wait, red deserts? What are you talking about? Like I was so completely ignorant of it. And then we just started Googling images of Utah deserts, and it was just immediately like, this is unbelievable. The colors are just they're almost alien. And some of these photos that you find, it's just like I can't believe there are places on Earth that look like this. Um, and that actually really plays well into Calamity, where Dry Gulp Gorge isn't on Earth. I mean, that as far as we know, and so the fact that there are these, yeah, I mean, look at that. That looks like something out of like a Ridley Scott, science fiction movie, for God's sake. Maybe not, Geiger's not doing the concept art for it, but nonetheless, it looks alien in a lot of ways.
Yeah, if it's Geiger's doing, there'd be a lot more slime on
There
it.
would be a lot more slime, yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot more subtle sexuality. Um, but these are just what arresting images, and it's like you just want to steal every single one of these for some sort of vista shot in Calamity.
Yeah, and we'll be, and so at this point, I'll be. I mean, this is my way of doing a shout out to Utah anyway. But I will be borrowing. I think I'll be borrowing a lot from Utah's backgrounds as we
Mm-hmm.
as we continue making stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I will. I won't be borrowing exactly like these kind of formations as much because this is pretty to me instantly associated with Bryce Canyon or Southern Utah. So there'll be some subtle changes I'll do with the
Well,
mountain
I mean,
like that.
and at this point, I'm just blue skying. But
Yeah.
you showed one of the photos of things like the Mitten Buttes, right?
Hmm.
Um, and like what you could do is you could play with it, and if we do a butte and we do something that's inspired by the Mitten Buttes, literally they look like mittens. They
Hmm.
actually look like mittens. I mean, we could play with those types of things where we cartoon up actual pieces of familiar geography, and it almost becomes this inside joke at that point. If you wanted
Yeah.
to go in that direction.
Yeah, and we could. I mean, we definitely could. There's plenty of material to mine for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. But nonetheless, like the second I typed in Utah desert, I mean, it was just forget about it. Like it was so obviously the right way to go.
yeah. Another thing. As I was going through, I did find some images because Utah does get a ton of snow.
I mean, that's
But
beautiful. Look at that.
yeah, are we going to have snow in Dry Gulf Gorge? Have you thought about that, Eric? Because I haven't.
There's no
And I,
reason not to. I mean, if we
yeah,
have a need for it, then all of a sudden it's snowing, right?
yeah,
We have the luxury of knowing what the weather is going to be because we need it to be that way. We're weathermen in Back to the Future Part Two.
we're open to all seasons, is what it sounds like.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, absolutely.
Uh, um, yeah, and we can even on these dusk shots, or we could blend
No.
in the purples at sunset and kind of get to our night
Yeah,
shots.
I know. Just those purples on the horizon like that are just it's just something else.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'm more at ease with where we're at background wise for Calamity Jane, and that's a big victory for me to move on visually because I
Yeah.
was wrestling for a couple of days. Like I just wasn't. I know it sounds kind of funny. I mean, the evolution went from a standard yellow desert to what I mean in my head. What I think what a lot of people think of as yellows and browns.
Mm-hmm.
Finally where we're at now. So,
Which is just up,
um,
yeah, far and away the
so
right choice.
we can move on from that. That was the main thing for today's call, but I think I could try to, um, for fun, I'm going to plug in this background plate into Calamity Jane with just for fun with the lighting that we've been kind of doing the past few
Yeah,
weeks.
I'm
But
curious to see how that plays out. Yeah.
yeah, so we'll have to watch a boring loading screen instead of me drilling on
But
in
but
my
that
boring
car
lighting.
though, that car is it's
It is
beautiful.
a smart looking car. I do like that splash loading image. All right. So let's see here. If I go to open recent, sure. Well, now it's doing this. Okay, what's that all about? It's doing it twice. I don't know. But open recent lighting. Okay, fine. Whatever. It's really grumpy about something, so I must have missed something somewhere along the line.
Seems like your background changed and it's looking for something that's not it can't find
Yeah.
anymore.
Yes, indeedy. So let's see. If I was to replace this footage, uh, we will do. Well, for fun, I'll do this to see if this works. Okay, well, there's that. And for fun, I will. Do we have that exported yet? There we are. I'll need that solo though.
Legacy. Why legacy?
And when Adobe bought Macromedia, which were the original creators of Flash,
Mm-hmm.
Flash had a pretty smooth way of exporting their stuff out. Um, for PNGs and JPEGs and everything like that. And then when Adobe took it over, they started doing their own thing, which I'll give you an example right now. You see how this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to export my PNG. I'm done. I click save. Yay. Okay, fine. I go through a couple settings here. Well, if I want to now using Adobe's method, which is file, export, image, which you would assume is the way to go, then I've got this, and I've got to then all of a
Oh,
sudden
now it
working
turns
right.
that white into transparent. Whoa.
Yeah, so I need to turn this off, and then I got to start playing. Like, is this the actual image, or is it gonna take more of what I need? I
Oh,
don't know.
oh, that's so weird. Why did it do that? Why is it
Yeah,
zoomed in? Why can't it just show you the whole thing?
it says it 100%,
Oh, because
but
the aspect resolution is greater than the size of the window. Fit to screen.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's what you got to select. Oh, I see. Okay.
so out of just habit, I always go with
Oh, I
legacy.
see. I see. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
suspect for like I'm sure I can see why there would be a need for that in some capacity, but like if the compression is artifacting things in a weird way, if you want to tweak it, but I don't know.
yeah, but for all intents and I've been so used to doing it the Flash way. I just haven't graduated or whatever to a different way of doing it, I guess. So.
Well, they left Legacy, so there you go.
Yeah. So it it did what I needed to do anyway. So I have my
Mm-hmm.
image here. So let me drag this down here and play with that. Okay. So we have our assets. Now this was with the blue lighting. Let me see if I can play with the.
Like you make it a warmer light for the day.
Yeah, that was my idea. If I do that, is there the effects here? The light color, let's go to, there we go. So we can push it more towards. You can definitely see it on the Warhogs.
Yeah,
Um,
it's interesting. Calamity looks dusty now.
yeah, yeah. So this is something we may have to. I don't like I said like the jury's still like I know we've kind of talked about it. We may just use the lighting for special occasions. Yeah, she definitely looks dusty.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know. We may not even use it at all. I think like if we look at this and we just look at them here, we may be just fine without any lighting at all. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean,
it's just I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of I'm kind of in two worlds still at this point. I just don't know. Let's see. That's just standard. That's more white. That seems to work okay. I do like the shadows. I think they're working okay.
yeah,
It's a little
you're getting a
strong.
little bit of conflict, yeah, on those smaller areas. But I mean, I don't know how zoomed in we're gonna get to if that's gonna really be an issue. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I still like the lighting in principle. I feel like it's definitely a sometimes treat, like, and not
All
uh,
the time.
a staple protein. To continue
So
with my food metaphor, I don't know.
yeah, so the stable protein, this is it right here. This is kind
Hmm.
of going to be the look of the show right here, which I like I said, I'm right down the middle. I don't know, like a part of me wants to keep using doing lighting, but again, I'm kind of floating more towards the camp of just like yeah, we just use it sometimes on certain spots. I don't know. Like I said, I just barely started doing this just now, so I need to sit here and soak with this for a little bit and
Hmm.
play with it.
Hmm.
And, I like it, but is it still in fancy toy mode and not something,
I
you
mean,
know?
yeah, I mean, I think that the thing that's really going to um, we just need to find the shot that proves it or disproves it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, agreed.
this is the moment where having an external lighting treatment is going to make all of the difference in the world. And
Mhm.
um, uh, and then if it works there, great. And if it doesn't, then okay. Well, at least we know.
Yeah, this isn't really this type of shot. Well, first of all, everything's scaled wrong anyway.
Yeah.
It's not a usable shot yet. So yeah, until we start. And again, the great thing about this particular lighting thing is it's kind of a throwaway thing. We don't even have to use it at all. It's not that hard to set up. As you
Mm-hmm.
just saw right now, we started plugging it in and it was just that fast. We were able to see lighting. So
Right.
yeah, it's very disposable. We could just chuck it out and just use, like I said, maybe we'll just use it as gimmicky stuff, like we say, like in Mitchell's bar with the fluorescent lighting comes on, added for mood effect. I think it's kind of leaning towards that, but yeah, I'll play with this for a couple more days, but we'll definitely have more stuff for next week. I'll probably be moving on to another subject altogether by next week anyway, but we might recap and
Okay.
discuss this again as we keep going, because I don't know. Like I said, sometimes I want to just sit there and think about stuff, just like this background. This took about it just took a good week to get from here to here.
Yeah.
So, and I'm
But
happy with it,
yeah, I
but I
mean,
had to
but what
sit.
a difference it makes, though.
So, yeah. So that's where we're at, though.
Cool.
Um,
Very cool. Well, I mean, we've got 7 minutes left to go on our usual allotted time, but we're definitely not a slave to exact that amount of time. So,
One thing, I was debating whether I wanted to do this or not, but I did want to get into animation, but it's going to probably require a little bit more time. It just depends. But
mm-hmm,
I did want to start animating the hair,
mm-hmm.
their bodies, and kind of smooth that out. But it's not going to be. I don't know how realistic that'll be in 7 minutes versus me holding off, maybe doing that for next week. Is what I'm thinking.
Maybe play around with it for next week, and then we can revisit it.
Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. So I'm going to hold off on that. So anybody who's watching, sorry, we'll just have to push that off till next our future episode. Something to look forward to, I guess, is watching me animate Warhog hair.
I
but,
know I'm ready for it.
but yeah, this will be probably the next mark. I think. I mean, I'm gonna because we're already kind of in this shot anyway, and even though
Mm-hmm,
it's not a shot yet, but all this stuff will be used for a shot eventually. So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah, I thought. But yeah,
Well,
that's all I got for this week on my end,
I'd
Eric.
I'd say that's pretty good. I think getting the and we talked about this in the call, and I don't know if we talked about it here, but like the thing that this is, for lack of a better word, Dry Gulp Gorge, and that's not really the right idiom. But what I mean to say is that this reddish color is going to define a lot of the aspects of the town, right?
Mm-hmm,
Town
mm-hmm.
buildings, town environments, the things around the town are going to be influenced by these color choices. And so it was really important to get this right. And I think that this, you just completely nailed it.
Yeah, based on your reaction just now, I'm very happy to hear. I was happy to hear your reaction being that way because that's how I felt about it.
Yeah.
When I these colors, I was like, "Yep, this is it."
Yeah.
Then I took it. Then I took it out.
Yeah.
Went, yeah, that's good enough.
So, no, I mean,
So
I think it's a major win. I think it was a week well spent. I think the show looks better for it. Yeah, I mean, just even right there, just automatically. So,
cool.
yeah, absolutely. But great. Well, as always, everybody, you can find us at calamityjane.com, which will redirect you to our Patreon site, or you can just head right to our Patreon site, patreon.com/calamityjaneadventure. You can also find us on Facebook at the Calamity Jane Adventure Hour. And as always, we will post our stream to the Facebook page in about a half hour once we work out all the logistic stuff. We'll be back this time next week, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks so much for joining us on our weekly stream, James. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Just everybody have a great week, and we'll catch you next week.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Much appreciated. Bye.
Bye.